Good evening, everyone. This regular meeting of the mayor and council is now called to order. Roll call. All council members are present. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance followed by an invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Powell, will you pray for us, please?
Yes. Let us pray. Father, we are grateful to have this opportunity to gather as a community. And Lord, we are in the season of thankfulness. And Lord, there is something so special that you have blessed the people who call this their home to be Social Circle. It's a wonder, Lord. And for that, we have to be grateful. For those of us who get to come and share in it, Lord, we want to too. And all the things that make it great, the beauty, the quiet, the history, and Lord, the opportunity. We just give you thanks for all those things. And Lord, we pray over our council tonight as a lot of zoning decisions are to be made, Lord, and we just ask you to give them your wisdom and your ability to make good decisions so that we can be thankful for all these things in the future, Lord. Bless them, watch over them, watch over those who work here and those who protect this place, Lord. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, I do have a few announcements. All of the announcements that I have tonight take place in this in the room we're in now, the community room. First of all, there's the meeting that we are in tonight. Municipal Court, November 19th at 1 p.m. Planning Commission has been canceled. It was scheduled for November 20th at 6 p.m. Thanksgiving holidays for the city, November 27 and 28. Our council, hear me better? Or can you hear me? Council work session, December 4th, 6:30. Historic Preservation Meeting, December 9 at 6 p.m. Downtown Development Authority meeting, December 11 at 9 a.m. And our next council meeting, December 16, 6:30 p.m. That brings us to presentations, employee introduction and recognition.
I don't believe we have any for this evening.
Okay. Downtown rundown.
Is Amber here?
Yeah, she's in the back.
Okay.
This is our rundown for November. We're going to start with the Christmas tree lighting. Join us in this Friday in Friendship Park at 6 p.m. for the annual lighting of the tree. And this year we are combining our farmers market with the tree lighting, so we will have 20 vendors that will be set up in the market area from 4 to 7 p.m. On the back side of the park, we will have photos with Santa, the Grinch, letters to Santa, ornament making, and free hot chocolate for our visitors. We'll have hayrides set up on the front part of the park and a few more vendors there. This year we are starting a new tradition of inviting a nonprofit organization to be recognized at our event. Caleb's Cause is our featured nonprofit this year. It was started by Kayla and Marissa Walton after their son Caleb received a heart transplant at just 6 months old. Each year, Caleb's Cause chooses a child who's been diagnosed with an illness, and they have a benefit car show for the family. So the child that they had this year, her name is Willow Crow. She's 5 years old, and she has been diagnosed with Langerhans cell histiocytosis. It's a form of leukemia. So we're excited that Willow is going to be in attendance on Friday night. She's going to do the honors of lighting the tree for us. So we're very excited about that. It'll be a fun-filled family event, so we hope everyone can make plans to join us. And then on Friday, December 5th at 6 p.m., we will have our annual Christmas parade through downtown. This year we have 28 entries, and the theme is Favorite Christmas Song. Before the parade begins, the city will have a cookie decorating station, and the Masonic Lodge will have fire pits set up for s'mores in the area in front of and beside the tire station. Social 1832 will be hosting Santa from 5 to 8 in their business for free photos. And then last on the list is Secret Santa. So since it's Christmas time again, for those who may not know, this is a program that Chief Sadell and I run for the city each year. We partner with Social Circle City Schools to help local families in need of Christmas assistance. We rely on donations to fund the program and are extremely thankful to all of those that donate throughout the year. We are excited this year to be providing Christmas for 37 local children. So we shop specifically for each child to make sure that they get items that they need and take a burden off of those families. So we're very excited about that. And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay.
Any questions for Amber? Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
Okay, citizens' requests, we didn't have any. Do we have any council requests?
Yes. I have one. I would like for us to look at our animal ordinance here in Social Circle.
In what regards to the animal control order we have is guided by Walton County. We have to adopt whatever Walton County has because of animal control and the service delivery agreement we have.
Well, there is an issue at hand, and I would like for us to look at it to see what we can do in City of Social Circle to protect our community.
Okay.
Okay. Any other requests? I'll entertain a motion for agenda approval.
Mayor, we need to make some adjustments to the agenda this evening, just in the interest of everybody's time here tonight. The way the agenda is currently published, we have a series of 8 public hearings, and then we will have a series of 8 different votes related to those 8 public hearings. I would propose that for those who don't want to stay through all 8 public hearings, I would propose that we group the votes immediately after each relevant public hearing. Okay, so in other words, so public hearing number 1, actually you won't need to hear that one because that one has been withdrawn by the applicant, so you just need to accept that withdrawal. Item number 2 will still be number 2 of the zoning agenda items, as is number 3. Public hearing number 4, the vote will be for zoning agenda items 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then number 8 is its own vote. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That way, people don't have to stay for the whole thing if they are only here for one item.
All right. That brings us to the public hearing.
I'll make the motion to approve the amended agenda from Eric's notes.
Sorry.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion from Nathan and a second from Steve. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda is approved. Okay, for our public hearings tonight. Keep me straight, Susan. Okay, tonight we have 8 public hearings tonight. As the agenda item is brought forth, city staff will present the application. The applicant will give their presentation, 10 minutes total, then a public hearing will be opened. Then anyone registered to speak in favor of the application will be called to the podium, give their name and address, and limited to 10 minutes total, not each. Then anyone registered to speak against the application will be called to the podium, give their name and address, and are limited to 10 minutes total, not each. Once the applicant has been given an opportunity for rebuttal, with any time remaining, the public hearing will close. Please remember that these hearings are an opportunity for you to voice your opinion and not question and answer session with the mayor and council. So comments only, please. The first one, as Mr. Taylor mentioned, was a rezone withdrawn by the applicant. I'll entertain a motion to accept that.
So moved. Second.
A motion from Steve and second from Tyson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, that brings us to a rezone application 2025-014, a rezone of 662 Wildwood Drive. Ms. Davis, will you give us a report on that one?
Yes, this request is to rezone tax parcels SC 0900118B00 and SC 09010B00 from agricultural to residential district 15 for the purpose of developing a 24-lot single-family detached unit subdivision. The site plan that was submitted with the application is there on your screen. This proposed development would also include tax parcels SC 0901019 and SC 0901020. However, both of those parcels are already zoned R15, so they're not included in the rezone request. The intent of the development is to meet housing needs within the city limits while also complying with the city's comprehensive plan and future land use map, as well as feedback received from the community. Because this applicant originally submitted a rezone request that included these properties back in February of 2025. That case number was REZ 2025-003. They attempted to rezone from ag and R15 to RMD, or residential medium density, for a proposed townhome development. However, the applicant ultimately withdrew their request prior to mayor and council issuing a decision on their application. The current proposal appears to attempt to address concerns that were expressed by the community in the previous application by removing the townhome aspect and focusing solely on single-family detached use. As shown on the proposed site plan included in your packets as Exhibit A, the proposed development would consist of approximately 24 single-family detached homes, along with an open space and stormwater pond as well. As part of the permitting process, the applicant would be required to submit preliminary and final plats for approval, as well as civil plans to be reviewed, as well to ensure that all development and dimensional standards are being met as outlined by the UDC. There would also be a community association as part of this proposed development as well. The applicant held a community meeting virtually on October 6th of 2025. There were 4 members of the public present that called into the meeting. During the meeting, while it was acknowledged that the new proposal was a significant decrease in density to what was originally proposed as a part of REZ 2025-003, a few attendees indicated that they would prefer the development to have even fewer homes, with potentially 2-acre minimums as well. There were questions asked about existing easements and stormwater management also, to which the applicant stated that development would be serviced via underground power and would not affect the current power pole easement, and the proposed location of the drainage pond at the front of the property was intended to accommodate natural flows by placing it at the lowest elevation. The meeting lasted about 30 minutes. As outlined in Table 2.1.5 of the UDC, the minimum lot size for properties within the R15 zoning designation is 15,000 square feet, which is about 0.34 acres. While there are similar zonings as to what is being requested adjacent to the proposed development, the average lot size in the area tends to be greater than the minimum that is required by R15 zonings. Hickory Meadows subdivision, which is adjacent to the proposed development, has an average lot size of about 0.43 acres, while similar properties in the immediate vicinity along Wildwood Drive have an average lot size of approximately 0.6 acres. Please note that the formula used to calculate the average lot size of similar properties along Wildwood Drive did not include the applicant's properties, nor those with the lot size greater than 1 acre. There's also ag zoning in the area and directly adjacent to the applicant's properties as well. Both ag and R15 allow for single-family detached dwellings as a permitted use. There's currently a 6-inch water main in the area. However, there is some level of concern as to whether or not there's adequate volume and pressure needed to support the proposed development. And the concern about adequate water volume also includes that is needed to support fire flow as well. Additionally, there is some gravity-fed sewer located on the property. However, the developer would be responsible for relocating that line closer to the property line prior to beginning any construction. With regard to stormwater management, there are drainage issues already present on the property, so ditches would need to be improved and curb and gutter would need to be installed as part of the proposed development. The roadways are currently only 14.5 feet wide and would be unable to support emergency vehicle traffic as well as school bus traffic for the proposed development. The developer would be responsible to addressing all infrastructure concerns and required improvements. So staff did recommend approval with conditions, the first of which is that the minimum lot sizes and setback requirements for the proposed development shall be equivalent to those outlined in Table 2.1.5 of the Unified Development Code for Residential District 25. number of lots for the proposed development shall be capped at 15 lots. The developer would be responsible for the portion of Wildwood Drive that lies directly in front of the proposed development, up to bringing that up to current standards outlined in section 9.2 of the UDC to include installation of curb and gutter. And number 4, the applicant must obtain a letter from the city's engineer to confirm that utilities have the capacity for the project to include fire flow prior to beginning any development. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the request to rezone from Ag to R15 with the recommended conditions provided by staff. Any questions for me?
So planning commission didn't add any additional requirements?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, call upon the applicant.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Andrea Gray. This evening I have the pleasure of representing JMJMS Properties in its request to rezone 10.09 acres from Ag to R15 for a residential development. As Ashley explained, the property is located on Wildwood Drive. It's bordered to its east by CSX Railroad and then to the west by Wildwood Drive. It also connects directly to the Hickory Meadow subdivision. Here you can see the property zonings. You see the 2 parcels that we've highlighted with arrows there. Those are the 2 that we're requesting to rezone to R15. The 2 that are closest to the road that my client owns are already zoned R15. And you can see that the subdivision, both across from the railroad tracks and then abutting the property directly, are also zoned R15. Future land use map designates this area to be appropriate for neighborhoods, which is what we are proposing with an R15 zoning. We do have a long history with this project, as Ashley mentioned. We did start requesting a 90-home townhome development on this property, and after meeting and talking with the neighbors, realized that that just was not the direction that they wanted us to go, and that we wanted to be good neighbors, and so we did not want to go in that direction either. So we withdrew our application before it got to you all, and redrew it as a 24-home, single-family, traditional neighborhood development. We did have a community meeting, and 4 of our adjoining property owners did attend that meeting, and we were able to have productive conversations. Of course, they still would like to have a lower density development in this area, which we heard from them. We had the Planning Commission meeting back in October, and we were approved for R15 with the conditions that Ashley mentioned. Here's the site plan that we proposed in our application with the 24 homes. We've got a nice entryway with 3 cul-de-sacs. We had, a mail kiosk area, sidewalk, street lights, all the things you have in a traditional neighborhood development. Agreed, of course, to meet all the ordinance requirements with regard to the size of the homes, the lot sizes, 2-car garages, nice exterior finishes, no vinyl, no metal siding, with accents of brick and stone water tables. And here's a representative photograph of what the homes in this development would look like, meeting all those requirements. And again, we did have the community meeting on October the 6th virtually. The Planning Commission conditions that were approved, we objected to those staff conditions during that meeting. The challenge for us is taking the development down from 24 homes down to 15. Really makes it unattainable for us because you still have the same infrastructure that's required, and so you're still building the same streets and the same utilities are coming in, but you're spreading that cost over fewer homes, which just from a business model doesn't work well for us. And then in thinking through the conversations with our neighbors, the people we heard from at the Planning Commission, my client really, for the second time, rethought this development again. And so tonight I have a new concept plan, bear with me, to show to you that I think you will see as favorable. But in kind of re-envisioning this, my client is proposing that we take it's just under 11 acres total, and divide it into 2-acre lots instead of doing a neighborhood, instead of having cul-de-sacs and sidewalks and all of those things, and have each of these lots have an entrance off of Wildwood Drive. So kind of taking it back to a more rural structure, this is really what our neighbors were asking us to do. And I've never seen a developer in my career be willing to go to this length to go from 90 townhomes back to 5 2-acre lots. But this is what he really feels like is a good fit here, and would work well with the area and with, you know, what he's trying to do here with this property. So this is our request. A little bit different than we started with, is to rezone the 10.09 acres to R15, so same zoning, but we ask that you condition it on being a minimum of 2-acre lots. So not a subdivision, just really subdividing this property into the 2-acre lots. Oops, and then with that, I'm going backwards. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
So with the, 2-acre lots, will the house style change?
We would still be required to meet the ordinance requirements, which is the 1600 brick, brick and stone accent, no vinyl siding, no metal.
So a similar product to what y'all were proposing in the
Yes,
neighborhood?
just
Okay.
different lots.
Okay.
Questions?
Any other questions?
So we're going from 24 lots to,
5.
okay.
Anything else?
Will all the other stipulations remain?
Well, we wouldn't need to do curb and gutter on the road, right? Because we're just gonna be doing driveway entrances onto Wildwood and, but yeah, we would have to obviously work to get the utilities connected and make whatever improvements to get water and sewer there.
So basically everything except for the roadway improvements, is what you're saying?
What would we?
Yeah, I think that, didn't we do that somewhere else? That they still had to, put sidewalks in front of theirs anyway?
Not when we've done this.
When they split it up, we didn't do that. Okay.
Just subdivided it.
So with the number of lots that the applicant is proposing, it would not have to go through a preliminary plat or a final plat. Since it's at the 5-lot threshold, it could still be done administratively. So we don't have to go through like a whole big silver review until we get to the building permit phase where it would show the tabs.
Anything else? All right, with that, I will open the public hearing. We do have,
We got 3 minutes left.
okay, and you can reserve that time for rebuttal. All right, we have, looks like 3 people signed up to speak in favor. First, Andrea. Okay. And I may butcher this name, Tyler. I can't read the last name on here.
Smedley?
Yes,
We'll reserve time for rebuttal.
okay, thank you. And David, can you see that?
Good. We can reserve time.
Okay, all right. All right, and then we have to speak against Wendell Pitts. For the record, please just give us your name and address, please.
Wendell Pitts, 577 Wildwood Drive, Social Circle. My problem is the 14-foot roadway, the 30-foot total road right-of-way, and there's not enough room to pull a car in and out of the road there, especially where they're talking about. I don't understand why there's any discussion about that. And you can't take my property and make a road. And nobody else is gonna sell property either.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pitts. William Wilkins? William Wilkins?
Okay, I've been, I live at 343 Wildwood Drive. I've been living here for 28 years. And the property you're proposing building on behind me is right behind this Burgess's property back there. And I have a couple of springs back there that they're gonna be going through, that it's not allowed. I've got ponds that are gonna go dry if they go through the springs. Also, I wanna ask about widening, Wildwood, Lakewood, and Hickory Drive. Has it got no other way to get traffic in there? Those big trucks coming in there, they can't get in there. There's no trucks go through Wildwood Drive anyway. There's no through truck signs all over that place. And I oppose it. They're already back there making noise. I mean, they're right there on my fence line. Right on my fence line. And I oppose it. I oppose the hell out of it. This place is a peaceful place. I've lived here long. I moved out here because it was peaceful. I'm a veteran. I've got PTSD and severe depressive disorder. And I like to be left alone, and I won't be left alone if those houses are built back there. I've got I divided it up, and it'll be 24 houses. It'll take up 3.395 acres, and Burgess has 81.501 acres back there, and it's most of my property is like a wetland, and it's against the law to build on a wetland, and I'm opposing it as much as I can. I'll be in touch with some people eventually. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, do you have time reserved for comment?
Have time left. Does anybody else want to speak again?
I appreciate Mr. Pitts and Mr. Wilkins speaking tonight, and you were the reason that we have made changes to this plan. And it's, you're hearing it for the first time tonight, so I certainly understand, your notes not reflecting what we're proposing. But, again, drastic change, 5 homes, basically, 10 cars being added to the road instead of, 24 times 2. We will not be building on any springs. That's, it's a requirement when we file the building plans to make sure that our homes perk. Being on the 2 acres, there's significant buffers between our homes and the existing neighbors. And I think what we're proposing today really fits well within the character of the area and will have a very minimal impact on our neighbors. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Anything?
As far as the road, how are we with emergency vehicles, fire trucks, getting in there?
Right, I mean, it's a narrow road, but it's a narrow road that 5 additional homes would have a very minimal impact on as it exists now.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gray.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit. We still had some time remaining if there's anyone else that did not sign up that wishes to speak against. Tyson, can you give me the time?
7 minutes.
Okay. Seeing none.
Just one.
We have one.
Okay, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Olivet James Robinson. My address is 1030 Shadow Creek Way, Greensboro, Georgia. I own property on Wildwood. I have lived on Wildwood all of my life growing up. And anyone that lives in that area knows that when you're turning on to Hickory, to Wildwood, those are very narrow streets. You cannot even pass another vehicle in your standard vehicle, much less construction trucks. I know some of those people that may be living there will have children, therefore school buses will need to have access. Where are they gonna turn around? We also have property at the end of Wildwood where it begins the dirt road going into Newton County. I'm sure that will become a turnaround spot. You will be infringing on the livelihood of citizens that have lived on that quiet street all their lives. They are now in their late 70s, mid 70s, and should enjoy life rather than having to be burdened with what's happening on my street. It may not seem a lot to you, but to the individuals that live on that street, it is a huge change. Thank you.
Ms. Gray, response?
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. I guess all I can say is that we respectfully disagree. We really don't feel that 5 additional homes would have a significant impact on what is already occurring on Wildwood Drive. And again, my client, is excited about being a good neighbor and has made significant changes to his plans to make sure that he was. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Gray.
you.
All right, with that, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for action.
With as far as the road does go, maybe it's Ashley, I guess. Emergency vehicles, what is the plan to get them back there? Is there one?
I am not sure. We did just receive this amended plan this afternoon, so I think I would probably have to defer that probably to the fire chief.
Is that something you can answer tonight, Ken?
I would agree with Ms. Gray's statement. I had a lot of reservation when we started talking about a subdivision, about being able to get in and out with the widths. Depending upon where you're at on that road, it's anywhere from 14.5 to about 7.5, depending upon the further you get up, the narrower it gets. So I would agree. I had some concerns when it was a subdivision, but it's 5 single-family homes. It's no different than any of the homes across the street as far as making access.
Okay.
So just as information, I went out there with a wheel a few weeks ago, and as a point of comparison, I live on Lakewood, almost at the corner of Wildwood. I measured the width of Lakewood at that point, and it was 18 feet of asphalt across the street. I went down to the curve at Wildwood, just past Hickory, and that was 18 feet. But it does taper to about 16 feet at the entrance to this subdivision.
Okay.
Now, I will say, one of the other items that you'll be hearing tonight includes a relocation of Wildwood Drive, if that gets approved as well.
And so, from the planning and zoning's recommendations and the staff recommendations, what would still be included in their new proposed plan?
So
It would
with,
still be the infrastructure to get to those houses, or not the sewer, but the water, would have to make sure that that would be up to par, which it,
right, so basically, it would be on the burden of the developer to, within our water ordinance, I can't remember off the top of my head how many feet it is, but if they're within so many feet of a water line, the developer is responsible for getting to, that utility, and that's for water and sewer. So it wouldn't go through the more rigorous process that like a subdivision over 5 lots would go through. So if this was 6 lots we were talking about, they'd have to do a preliminary plat and a final plat and, look at utility lines and things like that. But for this, they're solely responsible for getting to those lines, wherever those lines may be.
and so none of the other conditions would apply necessarily to the new project, right?
By default, if we did go with what the applicant was proposing, I mean, the lot size and setback requirements would also
Sure.
apply. And the cap would apply, but other than that, we wouldn't really, staff wouldn't require the other 2 conditions about improvements of Wildwood, or, staff wouldn't recommend that, or the engineer letters or anything like that.
So what about the drainage that these 5 houses gonna cause? I mean,
Like stormwater?
stormwater.
So, we would look at that during the building review, but it just wouldn't be there's not as much of an impact because there's significantly less impervious surface, and grading being done when it's a house. So they're going to be disturbing way less than an acre. But we still look at that as a part of the building permit review.
Any question? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the R15 zoning with the 5 homes as presented here tonight.
Okay. Have a motion from Mr. Boyd. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Councilmember Shelton. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All in favor? Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Davis, that brings us to special use 2025008.
Susan, may I? Thank you. So while she's pulling that back up, I'll go ahead and get it into my report. The special use request is to allow for a proposed data center campus under light industrial zoning across 3 tracts of land totaling about 96 acres. Under section 2.3.1 of the UDC, data centers are permitted outright under heavy industrial. However, under light industrial, data centers do require a special use approval. Given the zoning of the surrounding properties in this area, along with the proposal submitted, light industrial is the least intensive zoning that would accomplish the proposed plan. The property is currently adjacent to the General Mills property and across the street from what we are right next door to the P&K development too. As shown on the proposed site plan, which is in your packets as Exhibit A, the proposed data center development would be constructed across the 3 previously mentioned parcels, totaling approximately 96 acres, and would consist of 4 buildings, each totaling about 250,000 square feet. While there is currently a Georgia Power substation adjacent to the proposed development, Exhibit A shows an additional 1,000 square foot substation that would be developed as a part of the proposed project as well. Under section 2.1.5 of the UDC, the maximum impervious surface ratio allowed is 40%. And based on Exhibit A, the current projected ISR is about 26%. So just over half of that. The proposed project also appears to meet the site standards for industrial uses as outlined in section 3.4 of the UDC. If approved, all site development requirements will be reviewed during the development review phase of the project prior to any construction beginning. While a formal traffic study was not required as a part of the application, nor a DRI, the applicant did provide an estimated traffic analysis in their letter of intent, which is Exhibit B in your packets. The analysis indicates that while light industrial uses typically experience a traffic increase of between 2 and 10 trucks per 1,000 square feet of building space, the data center is estimated to be less than half of the lower end of that spectrum. Exhibit B also provides insight into operations and estimated utility usage as well. The applicant has indicated that while the proposed data centers would operate 24/7, there would be no excess noise or odors emitted from the site, and due to the nature of the operations would be significantly less commercial vehicle traffic generated compared to other LI uses. The anticipated build-out of the project would be over a 4 to 5 year period, with the first building being operational within 2 to 3 years. As it pertains to estimated utility usage, Exhibit B indicates that anticipated peak water usage during warmer months would be approximately 1 million gallons per day, with the peak sewer usage being about 400,000 gallons per day. However, the applicant has indicated that as technology progresses, they are committed to implementing more water efficient systems to minimize resource demands. Furthermore, the applicant has indicated that they are aware that special use approval does not guarantee the applicant nor the end user of any utility service rights, and they are committed to working with the city and other applicable utility providers while being sensitive to the community's concerns. And this is all in that letter of intent. There is currently a 12-inch water main along East Hightower Trail located on the same side of the road as the proposed development. However, concerning sewer, the city may need to obtain an easement from the developer, as future plans are to remove the current pump station in that area and install gravity sewer to flow to that area from the regional pump station located by P&K Logistics. City Police has requested that public safety and the developers have a conversation regarding site security and traffic control in the area prior to any construction beginning. A community meeting was held virtually on October 7th. However, aside from the applicant, there were no other attendees. I'd also like to mention that this board did approve, or this council did approve a warehouse on this site right before I started, so that was probably about 3 years ago. So that would have significant truck traffic as well. We did not put that in our staff report, but this would technically be a less intensive, at least traffic use on this site. So staff did recommend approval of the request for a special use to allow for a data center development under light industrial zoning with the following conditions. 1, the maximum parking spaces shall be calculated at 1 parking space per 7,000 square foot of building space. 2, in addition to the 200-foot natural buffer shown on the proposed site plan along East Hightower Trail, the buffer must consist of trees that are a minimum of 4 caliper inches and or at least 10 foot in height at the time of planting. 3, power substations shall be screened from view only if visible from the right-of-way with a dense evergreen hedge that provides an opaque visual buffer. Said hedge shall be no less than 12 feet in height at the time of planting. And 4, the applicant must obtain a letter from city's engineers to confirm that city utilities have the capacity for the project prior to beginning any development. The Planning Commission recommended a denial of the request for the special use to allow for a data center under light industrial zoning.
Any questions for Ashley? Welcome back, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
So, why, they just denied it for, because it was a warehouse approved for that?
The Planning Commission has been requesting these data centers to provide some letters to the best of their ability for utilities. Again, this phrase was used a lot at that Planning Commission meeting. We have sort of a chicken and egg situation. A lot of utility providers won't give those types of letters, especially power, until the zoning action has been taken. Planning Commission was hesitant to make recommendations without those letters, so we were kind of battling on who was first. But I do believe we provided the applicant provided letters from Georgia Power this afternoon, I believe, or this morning.
Yeah, they submitted a letter from Georgia Power that just indicates that Georgia Power is actively working with the end user at this site.
But that was kind of my interpretation of why that was denied.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll call upon the applicant or the applicant's representative.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, always have a PowerPoint, so. Yes, ma'am. Perfect. All right, fabulous. Well, thank you. Good evening again. I'm Andrea Gray. I have Rich Modulewski with me this evening. We're representing Dermody tonight and the request for a special use permit for a data center. Let's see if I can get it going the right direction. There we go. Dermody has a long history, over 60 years of a great track record with industrial type development all over this country, internationally, and regionally here in the Southeast as well. Here tonight I've got Rich Modulewski with me up here. We've got Wes Hardy in the audience along with David Sprinkle. And again, I'm Andrea Gray, the attorney. Here's a site map of where the property is located. Importantly is that the property is already in the city limits of Social Circle. We are not requiring an annexation for this project. You can see we're located on East Hightower Trail, and we're directly adjacent to General Mills and other warehouse developments. Our total property is 95.12 acres. Here you can see we're comprised of 3 different parcels combined together. You'll also see here that we're already zoned for light industrial, as are the adjoining properties in this area. So once again, for this project, we do not require it to be rezoned. We already fit well within the area. Watershed protection map here, we are outside that area, so we don't need any special accommodations, variances, or other development accommodations for that area. Future land use map, you'll see we're here in the gray industrial character area along with all the adjoining properties around us. And again, we're not requiring a character use change for this project either. Here's the plan that Ashley referenced. This is the plan that was approved when the property was rezoned to light industrial. You can see it's a very large 1.22 million square foot warehouse development with 612 auto parking spaces, 554 tractor trailer spaces, very minimal buffer, buildings pushed right up against the road. There was actually a mass grading permit issued for this project back in, I think, June of this last year that includes this exact site plan. So work was just about to be underway until Dermody came about with this data center project. So I'm going to let Rich take over and tell you a little bit about the data center project.
Thank you. Rich Modulewski with Dermody. Oops, we're going the wrong way. So as Andrea mentioned, we tried to have our site plan be in conformance or similar to the warehouse that was already approved. The square footages are almost the same. And if you look at the footprint on the, there we go. If you look at the 2 footprints overlaid, they're almost in the same exact area. But I think what's worth mentioning here is we're not requesting any variances. Our site plan is completely done to the current ordinance. And we plan on strictly adhering to that ordinance in the UDC for the development. As you will see though, we have much larger setbacks, and we are going to maintain the buffer and greenery in the back. Our detention, water detention, is almost in the same exact location as the previously proposed warehouse. I think one interesting thing to note about this project, and we did produce a report that we shared with planning. We have copies here if you would like it, but we had a professional engineering firm study the traffic of the proposed warehouse use versus the data center. The result of that analysis is that on a daily basis, the data center use versus the warehouse use will reduce trip counts by 612 cars a day. So it's 612 less trips coming in and out of that site for the data center use as opposed to the warehouse use. Andrea also mentioned, or maybe it was Ashley, touched on the reduction in truck traffic. The truck traffic is going to be less than 1/10 of what was proposed if it was going to be a 1.2 million square foot warehouse. So in addition to reducing the trip traffic, we're also reducing truck traffic. We've tried to, on our site plan, increase the buffers away from the road, and are happy to accommodate the requests from planning around ensuring there's greenery on Hightower Trail. More importantly, the jobs associated with data centers, although it may not be as many jobs created in a warehouse. Traditionally, these are all six-figure, high-paying, full-time jobs. Some combination of contractors and full-time employees from the end user, but just a terrific salary for the constituents that live in the area. Additionally, the capital investment in data centers as compared to warehouse is probably at a minimum of 10x. It's an unbelievable, really generational opportunity in terms of revenue for the city of Social Circle. As I'm sure most towns are going through, that revenue can be put to good use in a lot of different places. And in addition to that, let me just keep going. We wanted to talk about the staff recommendations. As a part of that engineering report that we submitted, the applicant, the end user who's interested in this site, was very specific in what they were studying from a parking perspective. We would politely request that we can have one space per 4,250 feet. At this number, we are reducing the number of parking spaces on the site by 362 spots. So the previously approved plan was for, I think, 612 or roughly 600 parking spaces, and we're reducing that by, over 350 as well as, again, removing all of the trailer parking and trucks coming in and out. We're totally fine with the trees and the screening of the substation, and obviously you can't build a data center without the utilities, so we think it's absolutely reasonable that the city is on board and approves the water and sewer use before construction starts. With that, we'll answer questions.
I think we touched on this and nobody knew the other night. It shows on that, on your plan that Georgia Power had already purchased property from.
I'm sorry, can you get me back to it?
I don't think I can from here. Are you asking about the carve out already by Georgia Power?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
That was already planned before.
Yes, sir. That substation is being built regardless of the data center project. That substation is to support residential and commercial growth in the surrounding areas. It just is coincidental.
That was my question, because I know none of us knew until we seen it on your drawing that there was a partial use for a substation out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will open the public hearing. We have a number of people to speak in favor. First being Ms. Gray.
I'll decline. I'm in favor.
Okay. Sorry, I'm terrible with these names up here tonight. Susan, can you tell this one?
I think it's, our attorney, Mr.
It's Modulewski.
Modulewski.
Imagine me in kindergarten trying to spell that. I'll decline as well, thank you.
Okay. And then it looks like Chris
Miles or?
Miller, maybe? Okay, thank you. David Sprinkle.
There's nothing else for me right now.
Thank you. Xavier Stewart.
I reserved as well.
Thank you. Wes Hardy.
Nothing to add for me, thank you.
Okay. Jim EYRT, maybe?
Nothing to add.
Thank you. And Julian Brown.
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll ask for those that are here to speak against, and we've had two people to sign up, Tawana Gilbert.
Opposed but not passed. I'm speaking.
Okay, thank you. And then James Humes? Evans, okay. I was way off on that one, wasn't I?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Keener. My name is James Evans. I live at 1845 Darrell Drive. Thank you for the opportunity for speaking tonight. Looks like there's going to be a decision, will it be a data center or warehouse? I personally don't want either one of them, but that's not my decision, that's y'all's. One thing that's very concerning is that the onslaught of data centers that have popped up, not just here, but everywhere. And the major concerns that keep popping up is power and water. It's in the city limits of social circle. Can y'all provide the water? Can Georgia Power provide the power? I don't think so. Directly across the street on East Hightower, which the map is showing parts of it, are livestock and people. Data centers produce noise 24/7, low frequency and high frequency. So studies, I don't know, have been made or have not been made. What are the long-term effects of all this? I don't know, but once you commit to changing the zoning, is going to be locked in. The fact that it started off as a warehouse and now it's going to go to a data center, it's been speculation who's the end user. A lot of people are using non-disclosure agreements to hide behind all that. So just curiosity, who's going to be the final end user to go in out there? I think a lot of people would like to know that. East Hightower, we're talking about DART and General Mills. For y'all who live out here, which we all do, just about all of us, East Hightower is a very skinny 2-lane road. 80,000 pound semis are going back and forth, and I'm now kind of giving a favor for the reduction going from warehouse to a data center. But East Hightower needs to be widened already. You got the CSX Railroad on one side, so that's going to limit how wide it can get. But it needs to be taken care of now, whether it's a data center or whether it's going to be 18-wheelers for the warehouse going in. But the concern for the noise, for the people, for the livestock, water, for the electricity, I just don't think it can be done. And how many other data centers have y'all, as a group, approved that are inside the city limits of social circle? I get confused. I don't know if it's 1, 2, 3. How many of y'all approved in the last few months? I know change is coming. I understand that. But having another data center on top of what everything else is going to be thrown out here, that's just the wrong decision to make, in my opinion. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Ms. Gray, have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Evans. We frequently are in each other's company at a number of these meetings, but I guess with regard to his comments about data centers in general, I just encourage you to look at each one on their own merits, right? And when you're considering our request for a special use permit for this site, consider the merits of this site. And that is that what we're proposing is a significantly lower intense use than what is already approved here on this site. This site's already in the city limits. It's already appropriately zoned. It's in the correct character area. And so it's a good fit here for this project. With regard to the road improvement concerns, we have reserved on the site plan room for future right-of-way expansion on East Hightower Trail. We worked that into our plan knowing that that's kind of the future of this area, right? Particularly if this were to have been the industrial warehouse, that would have required significant more improvements. But we've made accommodations thinking forward into the future for that. And again, looking at the merits of this case, a data center compared to a warehouse, we have data centers in this community. We've seen what those tax revenues can do for our school as they grow. And I just personally can't speak enough to the benefits of those tax revenues coming in, not just for the city. Everybody thinks about the city, but over 60% of those go to your schools and improve the quality of life for our children and the education of the people who grow up here. Sorry, Rich, I'll let you speak to anything else you wanted to address there.
No, you hit all the major points. I'll reserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll back up for a moment. I think we had some time left for people wanting to speak against. Do we not, Tyson?
7:28.
7 minutes and 28 seconds left if anyone would wish to speak against. Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council for decision.
So what's the difference of the parking spaces?
So I did some rough calculations really fast with my calculator. I figured that question would come up. So based off of what we have been conditioning on these data centers, I looked at a few of our action notices that we had sent out recently. We've been doing 35 per building. Now, with their proposal, that would only be 140 spaces for this site. With some of the other bigger sites, it was significantly more because I had more buildings. With what the applicant is requesting, we move that ratio to the one space per 4,250 square feet. That would be about 235 parking spaces. So there is a significant difference between what we have been doing versus the ratio that their engineer is saying that they absolutely have to have.
It's 4 buildings.
Yes. And they're each, based off the site plan, they're each about 250,000 square feet. So it's I don't know if that was just for math's sake, but that's 1 million square feet.
The 2-story?
Okay. I figured they would be, but I didn't want to speak for the applicant.
So it's about 59 parking spaces per building.
Yeah, roughly.
So I'll make a motion to approve and allow the applicants spaces per square feet.
Will you amend that motion?
What you got?
I wanna add noise dampers to all the equipment. No hidden cost to the city utility wise, and, any way, if it affects anybody's well in the area, it's at the developer's expense to replace it.
I'll amend the motion to accept the recommendations.
Those are acceptable.
Okay. A motion from Tyson. Steve, is that your second? Second from Councilmember Shelton. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, brings us to the annexation, 2025006. Ms. Davis.
Okay. Susan, do you mind? You're fine. So, in regards to this annexation, Georgia Stroud's Creek Land LLC is requesting to annex tax parcel 0122-007A, 0122-007B, 0122-001, 0122-001A, and plus or minus 684 acres of tax parcel 0111-005 into the city limits of Social Circle as a part of a proposal for a potential data center development. Please note that a portion of tax parcel 0111-005 is already located within the city limits. As part of the proposal, if approved, the applicant would also be seeking a future land use map amendment, rezone, and special use approval as well. These parcels are currently located in the unincorporated portion of Newton County along Hollis Road, Highway 11, Wildwood Drive, Lakewood Drive, and the Old Strouds Creek Road, and are directly adjacent to property currently within the city limits. The requested annexation as proposed appears that it would address a specific need by promoting job growth in the area and increasing the tax base. It does not appear that the proposed annexation would adversely affect the existing use nor usability of adjacent or nearby properties either. The properties do not fall within any special overlay districts. However, there are state water buffer requirements that developments of any kind would be required to adhere to. The requested annexation appears that it would conform with the comprehensive plan as it pertains to the future land use map as proposed by the applicant. Staff is recommending approval of the annexation request, and Planning Commission also recommended approval of the annexation request.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Julie Sellers here on behalf of the applicant. And I just wanted to make sure that this is acceptable. I have a short presentation. I know that we have, and that you all will call the separate public hearings. I wanted to just go ahead and give a broad overview, and I promise you that I will not take my full 10 minutes for all of these different applications. So if I could maybe be a little bit long-winded on the annexation, and then probably won't have much to say on any of the others. But again, this is the property that is, the annexation portion is the property that's currently in Newton County that is designated on their character area as industrial. So this is consistent with what the county has designated for this property. It is an industrial character area for the county. Also wanted to talk just a little bit about the history of this property, which I'm going to acknowledge you all probably know far more about than I do. But what I can tell you, and I think it's helpful for the members of the public to understand, this is almost 1,000 acres that has gone through significant vetting. The property owners have spent over $100,000 in conjunction with the local governments, the county, to really get this property so that it could be suitable for a large industrial user. So we talk about, zoning and annexation and all of this, but I think it is critical to really understand that for years, this property at both the local and state level has been marketed as the Georgia Historic Heartland mega site. And what we are proposing is certainly a use that would be far less intense than an industrial car manufacturer or something of that nature. Again, the applications that we've submitted to the city, the first is the annexation, bringing the property into the city. Then the zoning of that property, we are seeking light industrial zoning as well as that future land use designation for industrial. And then finally, a special use permit for a data center. Talking a little bit about the annexation, and this is probably a little bit confusing because it was confusing for me. We have, if you can see on the chart, number one, that parcel is already in Social Circle. Then we look at parcel number 2. That's the really big property. And this one's a little wonky because you've got part of that that's already in your city and the large part of it that's in the county. So in many ways, annexing this property is really going to clean it up and make it very clear and kind of round out this area where we've got some boundary lines. The other part that I really wanted to highlight, and you'll hear me talk about this a few different times. If you see on the left of the screen, I've got 3 yellow arrows that are pointing to a tax parcel, that SC 90012. That is property, it's about 57 acres. It's already in the city of Social Circle. So we did not include that with our application for zoning or annexing or anything like that. However, we are buying that parcel. So we have been kind of referring to that parcel as our sort of separation parcels. We know that we've got some residential neighbors close by. So we've got 57 acres that would be providing this significant setback from the 1,000 acres that would be zoned for the industrial. So I'll touch on that probably a few different times, but because it's not, we're not asking to do anything different with it other than letting you know, and we have proposed a condition that would give some assurances of the limitation of the use of that property. And I'm happy to answer, questions about that. What you see on the right is just showing, the annexation outline of those parcels that would be coming into the city with the approval of this application. Again, I think it kind of helps clean up sort of the city borders and really rounds out the property here, and also brings this mega site under the city's leadership. So this is our original site plan. This was the concept plan that we originally submitted. This is the concept plan that the planning commissioners reviewed and did recommend approval for all of our requests. We heard some feedback at the Planning Commission, and so what we did is we took another look at the concept plan and made a few changes. Just to orient everyone, making sure we know which property this is, you've got Highway 11 down towards the bottom. You have Lakewood, or on some maps it's labeled as Strouds Creek Road, but I know that that's kind of the where Lakewood goes and then sort of terminates. You've got the transmission power line that really, there's a large area there. And then you've got the railroad, which sort of kind of follows the property line along the bottom of the page. So what we're really talking about is a development in between the power lines and the railroad. This is our updated concept plan, and this was incorporating a lot of feedback that we had received about moving the buildings, kind of farther away from some of the residential areas. Again, I mentioned before that 57-acre property that's already in the City of Social Circle. You see that on the site plan with that yellow star. So that property is remaining agriculture. That property will not have any buildings. It will allow for separation. And then similar to the other triangular piece that is along that Wildwood Drive on the other side of the railroad tracks. So just highlighting some of the differences. I've circled in red on our original plan. We had buildings that were located between the existing pond and the transmission lines. We have relocated those to pull those farther away from Lakewood. The orangish yellow kind of triangle, I guess, on the original plan, there were 4 buildings located there. Again, those are separated significantly. And then you have that additional 57 acres. But so that has been the, density, intensity has really been significantly reduced. Just while we have this site plan, I want to talk about a couple of other things. I do think it's important to consider each property, on its own merits. I did want to just sort of highlight, we're talking about almost 1,000 acres. And when you look at the building area, that's only 56 acres. So I'm not great with math, and I don't trust my ability to use my calculator to come up with the percentages, but as a fraction of the overall property that would actually contain buildings, which I think is significant. So then going ahead and talking with a little more detail, because it's hard. It's hard to look at these concept plans. I've got glasses and I needed to enlarge it up and really be able to get down to what we're really talking about. So when you look at the property, and we've proposed some conditions in addition to what the planning commissioners recommended, we are proposing over 1,500 feet of a setback measured from Lakewood Drive. And when you think 1,500 feet, we're talking about more than 4 football fields, including the end zones. Or if you think about the Titanic ship, you could line up 2 ships the size of the Titanic. Significant. This is not visible. It's you certainly, I couldn't. I doubt anyone here could. I don't know that anybody in the world could throw a football that far. It's a really large separation. And then similar over on the right-hand side where you see that's, again, kind of our separation parcel, measuring that setback, again, we've got that significant amount. So we really have tried to be very intentional with pulling the buildings in. You really cannot get a sense of the scale when we just, kind of look at a flat page. It's very hard to tell, but we're talking about almost 1,000 acres. And so, 4 football fields of setbacks is extremely significant. Again, just a little more information. I know that you all are familiar with data centers. You know, again, this was a mega site certified by the county and the state for industrial development. The data center use is extremely low in traffic generation, certainly not as intensive as a manufacturing plant, and there's a significant financial benefit to the city and the residents from the development. Utilities, that's part of this grad certification through the state certification, is confirming the utilities availability. This is not an expense to the community, to the taxpayers, to bring utilities to the site. And then finally, you know, we are here tonight asking for your approval with the conditions that we circulated. I will touch. Is my time up?
Yeah, your time
Okay,
is up.
I'll go ahead and stop there, and then when we continue going on to the others, I'll touch on a couple of the other things that I think we are offering that are sort of, they're unique as far as guarding against some of the concerns we've heard from residents, but I'll save that for one of our other time slots if that's appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I will open the public hearing. We had no one sign up to speak for, but I will open the floor to anybody that's here wishing to speak for this application. Okay. Open the floor for anyone wishing to speak against, and we did have 2 people to sign up. Tawana Gilbert. Okay, thank you. And Allison.
Bliss. Who said what?
I think it's you.
It's you. Yes, me.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay, this is what I wanna be sure of.
come to the podium, please.
Please state your address as well.
I'm Allison Bliss. I live at 1719 Highway 11 North, Social Circle, Georgia, 30025. Okay, now, there's a lot of amendments here and special use. I want to make sure, now, are you talking about the 998 acres on the other side of Walton County? Is that what we're talking about?
It's directly behind your house on the other side of the railroad track in Denton County.
Oh, so it's over the railroad tracks. Okay. You know we built a new house down there as well.
Yep, you probably don't remember me, but I remember you.
A long time ago, elementary school. I do remember you.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
But that's what I want to know, because I also seen us noticing a public sign, you know, the big field where he's got 13 plus or minus acreage. See, we're totally opposing that as well, because the acreage in the middle of that is my land, okay, and my aunt's land, Arlene O'Brien's. And I know she's been contacted by him. He's wanting to buy her property, but it's not for sale. Okay? So we're slapped down in the middle of that 1,000 acres or whatever that he's wanting to do. But you're talking about on the other side of the railroad track?
What they're saying is where y'all live at, that all that land on each side of y'all, they're not gonna do anything.
Okay, that field, what about that field that he's got right there?
There's gonna be a road across the railroad tracks.
Okay. So he's going over the railroad tracks.
There's no building in that field other than a road.
Do what, sir?
No building in that road, no building in that field other than a roadway.
Okay, cause I didn't think you could because of the railroad tracks. Is that correct?
They gotta build a flyover, is what it says here.
Okay. All right. So it's gonna be behind my house then, right?
But a long way from your house.
A long way from my house? All right, what about Arlena Bryan's and her land? Well, we own all the front half, and I own the back half. Okay. All right, now, what else I write down? Okay, so that's just gonna be a road going to, over the railroad tracks, at 13 plus or minus. Well, and how far back off the railroad tracks? I know it's gotta at least be 200 feet.
Well, the setback, the setback, I think, where the plan is over approved.
So.
Setback from the.
So, we're getting kind of ahead of ourselves. This is, the conditions aren't until the rezone and the special use, but, I believe the planning and zoning recommended, give me 1 second. Minimum of 500-foot natural vegetative buffer is what the planning and zoning recommended. Not on this case.
What'd she say? 500 feet off the railroad tracks? Behind my house? I totally oppose that, sir.
Well, it's 500 foot, not behind your house, it's on the other side.
Oh, I know that. I know you got a 200-foot railroad, right? All right, but the additional 500 foot, right? So it's like 700 foot.
I don't know, I can't pay that.
All right, and the only interest that's coming in through that 13 plus or minus acres. Okay.
Yeah. We're not supposed to be doing call and response, really.
I'm sorry. I'm new to this. I just know somebody trying to do that to my land that we've had since 1968. And plus, that acreage has been in the family, that's all family land, and it's over 200 years old. We have a family cemetery there, the CSA soldiers buried there, you know, and I've been living there since 1968. Steve knows, you know.
Your grandmother and your mother and your aunt and all of them.
Right. I mean, we're all a close, you know, tight-knit community. Yes, they passed away, but the strong ones in the family, like I and my aunt, you know, we have to fight for what's right that we feel that we need to do for our family. Because this land was left to generations of people, you know. It went from my great-great-granddaddy to my great-great-granddaddy to my great-granddaddy to my granddaddy, and now it's all back on us now. You know, so that land means a lot to us. The wildlife means a lot to us. I hate driving up Highway 11 and seeing 10, 12 deer on the side of the road that's dead. We feed our deer in the backyard. And we love our wildlife, we love our country life. Like I said, we've been here since 1968. And I want to continue to stay here. But if something like this is coming to ruin, you know, my generations, there's nothing left for me to give to my children, because we have 2 homes on that property, on our 5 acres. My aunt owns the other 15 acres, and she has 4 homes. And like I said, this is all generational blessings that have been given to the generations below, you know, from our ancestors. And believe it or not, my ancestors owned the property from Social Circle all the way to the hub. And this is what we're left with, is this little 20 acres that my aunt and I share. Well, we have. But, you know, I just like to keep the good old southern, you know, you come into Social Circle, I mean, it's beautiful. You're coming up Highway 11, beautiful. But then you go see a big old industrial, well, you're gonna see a big old road. And I'm sure there's gonna be signs out in front of that road. You know, it's just not gonna look right. And y'all trying to just change a lot. So I'm here speaking, I'm opposing every and all things. And I appreciate your time. Y'all have a great evening.
Thank you.
2 minutes and 28 seconds.
Anyone else wishing to speak against? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close this public hearing. We're not going to take council action until the end of the 4 public hearings that we have on the agenda tonight. Next up, future land use map 2025-005. Ms. Davis.
Okay, so this request is for an amendment to the City of Social Circle's future land use map to characterize tax parcels S110, or I'm sorry, S110009, 01220001A, 01110005, 01220007A, 01220007B, and 01220001 as industrial character areas. This request is being made in conjunction with the previously mentioned annexation request for these parcels, along with an application to rezone the properties from agricultural to light industrial as well. With the request to annex the properties into the city, a character area would need to be assigned to the properties if approved. Newton County has identified this character area would need to be has identified this character area as an industrial heavy commercial character area in their most recent comprehensive plan, which was adopted in 2023. Under Newton County's comprehensive plan, this character area is defined as being best suited for industrial development and heavy commercial properties, such as large machinery repair, materials processing, and other non-retail uses. Additionally, both Newton County as well as the Georgia Department of Economic Development have labeled this property as a Georgia Historic Heartland Megasite, and it has been previously advertised as such by various entities in an attempt to attract a large-scale industrial development, which is Exhibit B in your packets. The proposal appears to be in line with the city's comprehensive plan in terms of being characterized as an industrial character area, as well as Newton County's identifying of the property as an industrial megasite in both their comprehensive plan and their future land use map. So staff recommends approval of the request to amend the future land use map, and Planning Commission also recommended approval of the request at their October 28th meeting.
Were they all in favor of that?
Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head.
For that part, they were.
Thank you. I think there was a non-unanimous vote on the annexation, and then this one was unanimous. I apologize. That was my first meeting back.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. That's, you're actually the applicant, I believe, so you have 10 minutes. Who is the applicant on
No,
this?
the applicant is still the same applicant, yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Julie Sellers here on behalf of the applicant. We would respectfully request the future land use designation for the properties for the annexation be the industrial, and believe that that is consistent with what the county currently has the property designated as, and would be consistent with the area and the intended use of the property that has historically been a heavy industrial designation by the state and the county, and we are asking for the light industrial. And I'll reserve the rest of my time for rebuttal, and happy to answer questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, I will open the public hearing. Floor is open for anyone wishing to speak in favor. We had no one sign in, but I'll give anyone the opportunity that wishes to speak to do so. Okay. Open the floor for anyone wishing to speak against. And we do have 2 people signed in for this one. Tawana Gilbert. Okay. And Allison.
I oppose.
Okay. All right. applicant?
Anybody else want to speak against?
Yeah, anyone else wishing to speak against?
No, sir.
Okay. So you have time, I mean, you have no comment? Okay, thank you. All right, close this public hearing, which takes us to rezone 2025-015. Ms. Davis?
So, this is a request to rezone tax parcels S110009, 0122001A, 0111005, 0122007A, 0122007B, and 0122001 from agricultural to light industrial as a part of a proposed, data center development. This request, as previously stated, is being made for the purpose of seeking special use approval to allow for data center under light industrial zoning. As I mentioned earlier, Newton County has identified this area as one being best suited for industrial development and heavy commercial uses, such as large machinery repair, materials processing, and other non-retail uses. This site was previously in consideration for the location of a large-scale automotive manufacturing plant for Jaguar. A light industrial zoning designation is one that would be both compatible with the industrial character area and would also be the least intensive zoning designation that would potentially allow for a data center campus. Developments under light industrial zoning would be required to adhere to all developmental standards outlined in Section 3.4, as well as Article 7 of the UDC. Standards outlined in these regulations include maximum impervious surface ratio of 40%, 200-foot natural buffer on all sides that abut residential uses and zonings, state water buffer requirements, and others. So in looking at the updated site plan, let's see. I know I have a comparing. Okay. So if you look, I have a slide with both of these on there so we can really kind of look at both site plans. But on the right side, you have the amended site plan, which shows the relocation of those buildings that the applicant had mentioned previously. The total building area proposed is just under 2.5 million square feet, which is only 5.78% of this property. So we've been talking about the scale and how it kind of looks on a flat piece of paper. So this would be not even a drop in the bucket of their 40% impervious surface ratio when it comes to this almost 1,000. 5.78%. The updated site plan shows entrances off of Highway 11 and Wildwood only. So those other entrances that are shown on the previous site plan on the north side of the site are no longer needed because those three buildings got moved. It is not clear, however, which roads would be for primary and or construction entrances and which would be for emergency use only. So a community meeting was held virtually on October 15th. However, aside from their applicant and their engineers, there were no other attendees. The range of uses of the proposed zoning district is in line with Newton County's comprehensive plan and their future land use map as well as a proposed character area for social circles for our future land use map. There appears to be adequate school, public safety, emergency facilities available to support the proposed rezone request. However, while there does not appear to be any stormwater or drainage issues on these properties at this time, we will review that during the plan review phase and prior to the beginning of any development. I would also like to note that Newton County Water and Sewer Authority are the service providers for this area per our SDS with Newton County, our service delivery strategy. Going the wrong way, sorry. So staff did recommend approval of the request to rezone with the condition that primary access onto the property to include construction access must be along Highway 11 and all other access points shall be for emergency use only. And then Planning Commission also recommended approval, and they had several more conditions, so I'm going to read those for you now. Number 1, Strouds Creek Road access shall be for emergency use only and constructed to the standards outlined in the city's UDC. That condition could potentially be removed because the updated plans don't show that entrance anymore. Number 2, construction and primary access shall be from Highway 11 only. Number 3, Wildwood, once relocated, shall be brought up to the minimum standards of a local road as outlined in the UDC. Number 4, minimum of 500-foot natural vegetative buffer extending from along the old Strouds Creek Road property lines to the railroad. Number 5, closed loop system shall be used and evaporation cooling methods are prohibited. Number 6, maximum of 35 parking spaces per building. Number 7, no building or structure shall be placed between the power transmission line and Old Strouds Creek Road. And number 8, no building or structure shall be located between Highway 11 and the railroad. And then the applicant provided staff with some responses to those conditions for the rezone. They didn't have any responses to conditions 1 through 3. They asked to delete 4 and 5 and include that under a more comprehensive condition 4, which reads, the building setback shall be measured pursuant to the Unified Development Code unless specifically defined below. So those definitions will be no building or structure shall be located between Highway 11 and the railroad. No building or structure shall be located between the power transmission line and Old Strouds Creek Road. The building setback shall be a minimum of 1,500 feet as measured from the frontage of parcel SC 040004 along Lakewood Drive. As measured from the northeast property line of parcel SC 090012, a minimum of 1,500 feet, and no data center building shall be constructed on parcel SC 090012. The use of parcel SC 090012 shall be for separation of the buildings from nearby properties and relocation of the South Wildwood Drive. Number 5, they're proposing if a land disturbance permit is not filed with the city within 12 months after this zoning decision is final and resolution of any legal challenges, and upon written notice from the property owners, the city will initiate the process to change the zoning of the property from light industrial back to agricultural. And they wanted to revise number 6 about the parking spaces to be 1 parking space for 5,000 square foot, and then 7 and 8 were grouped under that number 4. So just to talk about the parking spaces, doing those calculations, the calculations for 1 parking space per 5,000 square feet is 493 parking spaces, and the 35 per building is 420. So we're looking at the difference of 73 parking spaces. And the conditions that were approved a few weeks ago, if for consistency's sake, if we did want to add them, we previously approved all buildings be 1 story, sound dampeners on all equipment, low and high frequencies, and any wells affected by the project shall be paid for by the end user.
You was talking about the 1,500 feet from Lakewood. Seeing how they moved those buildings from Lakewood to across the lake, would they be willing to say they wouldn't build anything between the lake and Lakewood?
That would be a question for the applicant, which I believe in their presentation for this case, the rezone, they'll be going over the why behind their conditions. But I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can. I also wanted to mention too, in previous approvals where we conditioned based off of cooling systems, we approved a condition for hybrid cooling systems shall be permitted so as to allow for both open and closed loop cooling systems. That was what that was done, not this past time, but I think the time before that. And the 35 parking spaces per building is consistent with previous cases that we've approved as well. So.
Anything else for Ms. Davis? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, open the floor to the applicant.
In this packet, you have the shows you both of those plans as well as the conditions that we have requested. The top page is what I'm gonna call a clean version of the conditions that we are asking for the council to approve. The second page is a marked up version of showing what the planning commission recommended, and then we struck through or moved and kind of put notes on that. So that's what we have there. I guess I'll start with just walking through, and thank you to Ashley for going through the conditions. I wanted to talk about sort of the why behind some of the conditions. When we're looking at zoning, and Ashley and I have talked about this, and I think about this a lot when I'm working with cities. You know, we are all here tonight and we can be on the same page as far as the intent. And I think a good example of that would be the Planning Commission. And I did go back in my notes. I think we actually had unanimous approval, 5-0 on all of these. But in that Planning Commission meeting, there was talk about the buffering, and the intent was just sort of on this one area. But it's really hard to make that translate into the conditions. So what we have done with condition number 4 is we tried to really get specific. And that's why this is maybe a little bit lengthier than some others with the reference to the where we're starting the measurement from. But we thought that it was important to give some specificity, because what we don't want to do is have conditions that if all of us win the lottery and retire to Florida or move to the mountains, that somebody's left scratching their head trying to figure out, well, what did they really mean here? So what we have done, as Ashley said, and her math skills are far superior to mine, this development before you is 5% of building coverage on 1,000 acres. That is not much at all. When you really think about the magnitude of this property, and I think that the goal here has been, these are one-story buildings. So for example, the application that you heard earlier tonight, those were 2-story buildings. So when we think about visual impact, these are not towering skyscrapers. It's a 1-story building set back significantly from all of the property lines. One of the conditions, I think, would address the residents, kind of some questions about what this would mean, kind of in close proximity to her. I think it's certainly far less intensive versus the other industrial uses that were anticipated for the mega site. And we do have the condition in here that no building or structure would be located between Highway 11 and the railroad. So we would have the access road on the one parcel, and that's really it. Then we go over and we've got a portion of that 57, what I'm calling the separation parcel, as you go over towards Wildwood. But we believe that the calculations here and the measurements here, and given the specificity, this really helps pull the buildings away, so that they're not visible, and really prevents them from encroaching on others. A couple of other things that I wanted to mention is the time restriction. This, I think, is unique. I don't know that in my review of some other matters that have come before you, I don't think that this is a condition that has been offered up by the applicant. But what we have heard from some in the community is we're a little bit worried. We've got, what feels like a handful of data center applications that have been approved. And what if they don't get built right away? And so what we are proposing is condition 5, so that if a land disturbance permit is not submitted to the city, showing that development is moving forward within 12 months, because it takes a while for the engineers to do their business and then the city to be able to review the plans, after this decision is final, so hopefully that is tonight. If someone raises a legal challenge and it gets drawn out, it would be after that's resolved. But the property owners could give notice to the city to say, you know what, we were okay with our property getting zoned for light industrial because we thought we were gonna sell it for this data center, but if that hasn't moved along at a pretty good clip, then the city will go ahead and initiate the zoning, which you all have the power to do, to change that zoning from the light industrial back to the agriculture. So that is what we are offering here, which I think, I won't get too legal with you, but Tony, Mr. Powell certainly knows what I'm talking about. Sometimes back in the day, there were clauses that had like reversion, you know, like if something doesn't happen, then it automatically goes back. I don't think that that's good practice because you all are making legislative decisions. So I think there needs to be a mechanism, but what this condition does is it gives you the assurance of knowing you're not going to have somebody saying, wait a second, you know, don't do that. It's written in here and everybody's okay taking the property back to the ag. Again, on the parking spaces, our request is 1 parking space per 5,000. I think it gives us a little more parking, not significant. Usually when we see limitations trying to limit the amount of parking, it's because in theory that would reduce the building, you know, and the impervious. When we're talking about almost 1,000 acres and we're developing less than 5%, I don't know that, you know, 80 additional parking spaces has any impact on the significant green space that we are maintaining on this site, that will certainly be of benefit. I think that is all I had on the zoning, other than, yeah, that's all I had on the zoning, and then I'll touch on when we get to the use permit. Again, happy to answer any questions and save the rest of my time for rebuttal.
On your 1,500-foot setback you were talking about, making it standardized, is that off the railroad tracks on the front piece?
No, sir.
I know most of it's on the back part, but 766 on the railroad.
Yeah. Where?
It's so small I can't see it.
I'll try to get to show you. So these are the 2 areas that we were talking about, the 1,500 feet. So it would be, you know, the Lakewood Drive. Again, back towards Lakewood, we have the other condition for
It says here
B.
that it's 1,300 something square feet, and over there close, hers, where she lives at is, from the railroad, it's right away, it looks like 1,300. And 750 on down there close to the curve at the store.
That's correct. You've got really good eyesight.
So it's 17.
It's 1,300 something on the railroad track. Off there right away.
And what, you know, what we would here, you know, we have the revised plan. We were comfortable committing to, you know, the 2 1,500 that we have listed. I think we would be concerned about getting, it would not work to be able to say 1,500 all the way around, because we do have streams that we're not encroaching in and all of that. So I think that would have a pretty significant adverse implication. But as far as from the property that I believe, you know, that we were talking about, where the family has had the property for quite some time, the parcel next to them on, I'm going to say, you know, on the Highway 11 side of the railroad track, that will not have any buildings on that. And then you also have that additional separation with the parcel that's already in social circles. So I think when we look at this, you know, certainly far less impact than I think what was originally envisioned for this property.
Let me ask you this, on the side where the building's at, I'm pretty sure you won't, where there's not gonna be any buildings, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna take down any of the trees. But on the side where the buildings are at, are y'all planning on clear cutting that all the way to the property line?
I'm gonna,
Hello, Brad Caber with the applicant. Or I am the applicant, rather, sorry. Yeah, so to answer your question, where, you said where the, like, pod and, oh, it's not up on the screen anymore, but,
Buildings in the pond, or the railroad track.
yeah, here? In this area?
Yeah.
No, I mean, if not otherwise necessary, just to grade the building pads, we would have no intention to clear anything really outside of the building pad areas and just the necessary grading for slopes.
Okay.
Well, that creek runs all the way through the property. I don't see how you're not gonna encroach on it.
Well, there's several creeks and streams. Obviously, all the civil engineering would have to contemplate that, and there's plenty of room to stay out of the streams. We stood here before planning and zoning and said we have no intention of impacting streams. We have ample space to commit to that to you as well.
I think one additional note I want to make, again, just kind of highlighting how it is so hard to just look at a 11 by 17 piece of paper and really get a sense for it. On all of the blue lines that you see on the site plan, that would be representative of streams, there's a green line that also shows that 75-foot stream buffer. And when you're looking at this, it's just it's so small when we're looking at the totality of 1,000 acres.
And the actual, like I said, the streams have to be delineated by an actual environmentalist that has to go to the Army Corps of Engineers for jurisdictional determination. So this is subject to change somewhat, so we'll have to be flexible on, slightly moving things around to accommodate the natural features that exist now, and the engineering will reflect that. So when we're answering the questions about, say the buffer on the rail side, we're just trying to protect the ability to, slightly move things as the engineering deems necessary.
The reason I asked about the trees were, I just feel like that, I know you gotta do what you gotta do to build the buildings if we approve it. I just feel like the more trees that are left, the less it's gonna affect the few houses that are still there.
Oh, of course, yeah, and there's no, again, we would not clear any trees if we didn't need to at all, and at only less than 6%, density of the site. Even with the impervious area, if you just doubled the building floor area, 12% versus the code allowed 40%, there'll be significant wood still on the site. And I would estimate the closest building to the lady's house is half a mile based on what we're looking at here.
Because where the 13 was at is actually a good ways, if you look on down, I mean, if you was to measure the angle, it's a long,
It is.
So,
It's about, I would guess it's about half a mile.
so I'm coming down Highway 11 and I look to the left. I'm gonna see trees, or I'm gonna see this.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. I ride my horse down that road, Hollis Road, all the time, and it's very peaceful.
Yeah, the closest building we show to Hollis Road looks like it's about 800 feet away from that road. And again, the buildings are, what the county plans on doing with this land, should it stay in the county, is have 4 million square feet of industrial with trucks and rail use and other things. We do feel this is the quietest use possible for the site.
And I think Brad just actually touched on something. I think, if this was a user that was more manufacturing focused, really activating that rail line there would certainly, even just from a noise perspective, be much more significant than what we are proposing with this use.
So what you say
That is not what we're bringing to you.
All right, where we at? That was questions from the applicant.
Yeah. All right. With that, we'll open the public hearing. Open the floor for anyone wishing to speak in favor. We didn't have anyone to sign in or to sign up for that, but I'll open the floor for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Okay. Open the floor for anyone wishing to speak against, and we did have a couple of people sign up for that. Tawana Gilbert, she left. Allison. Any? Want to come to the podium? She's already. You got her address earlier.
Yes, I oppose any and all because it has to do with interfering with my ancestors' property who has see, I'm not going to be able to have all that stuff behind my house. And, you know, eventually we'll have to sell because it is disrupting, you know, the land, the wildlife, our sanctity. We are already getting all these here well, anyway, they're getting shoved down our throats, and we're getting tired of it. We like our good country land. We like our quiet. It's very nice, very peaceful. And now, I mean, we got residential all around us. And then you want to put the, what are you calling those things? Yeah, them. All over the place. I mean, come on, let's leave something original. Let's not mess with what God done. Why do we gotta get everything stirred up and everybody stirred up? I know, you know, growth is inevitable, but if I can keep growth from coming and taking and interfering with my peace of mind and my family's peace of mind, I'm gonna fight for it. You know, I mean, I understand the position that y'all are all in. You know, you don't walk in my shoes. You don't know what that property means to me and my aunt. I mean, it's going to be disrupted. Yeah, they might just have one little road, but behind me, there's going to be all that going on. And there's only a, 1,700-foot buffer that you're going to keep the trees on. Me and my dog, we go down to that creek all the time. You know, we play in that creek. My kids play in that creek. My grandkids play in the creek. You know, I'm sorry we're trespassing, but, you know, we've been here since 1968. But, you know, that's just going to, just put all that in it. I know it's going to be behind us, but we're still going to be able to see it. I mean, my husband and I, we get out, you know, we get home from work, go out on the front porch, back porch, wherever the sun is shining, have our coffee, listen to the birds, hear the crickets, the frogs, the squirrels chirping, the birds chirping. I just think that it's a mistake. And, you know, it's not just my family, it's other families on this land as well. So, I oppose. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Applicant, do you have any comment?
Just, you know, briefly, Miss, is it Bliss?
Bliss.
Fliss, I'm sorry. I didn't want to call you Miss Allison, but I got your first name. Certainly respect and understand, we are here advocating for change, but I do think that the change that you all are considering is a benefit because first and foremost, it gives this city council the ability to control what happens on this property. So right now, what we know is that the unincorporated portion in Newton County is is designated and is marketed to industrial users. So I think that, by approving this, it provides some certainty. It provides a use that is not as disruptive by any stretch of the imagination as some type of manufacturing use could be, something that would really activate and utilize the rail. So if you have the spur that would be developed to really activate that, for Ms. Fliss and her family, I think that is a significantly more impactful use. And so while I can appreciate changing 1,000 acres from sort of the undeveloped state that it is in now to developing around 5% of it, it is a change. But in the big scheme of things, and certainly compared to what it could be left in the county, I think that this is absolutely a win for the Fliss family to have you all approve this because of the very limited nature and the fact that it gives certainty rather than leaving it up for the county to decide and for another more intensive user to come in.
Can I ask one question? Now, how many buildings are they going to put on this property?
That's chosen on that paper.
It's like
That there's going to be a substation.
all right.
All right. We'll close this public hearing, and it takes us to the next item, special use 2025009. Ms. Davis, staff report.
So for the use of a data center, you do have to have a special use in light industrial. They're only permitted outright in heavy industrial, so this is the least intensive way to get a data center. As shown on the previous and the updated site plan, this development will be constructed across 6 different parcels totaling approximately 980 acres and would consist of 12 separate single-story buildings, an electrical substation, and 2 additional buildings on the north side of the property for support operations. The proposed use is compatible with the current character area of the properties as designated by Newton County, as well as its designation of a mega site as listed by Newton County and other state agencies. Given the residential uses and zonings of the adjacent property, the proposed development would be required at minimum to have a 200-foot natural buffer on all sides as outlined in section 3.4 of the UDC. The proposed development concept appears to fall within the parameters outlined in section 3.4.6.8 of the UDC, which regulates and defines data centers. There appear to be adequate school, public safety, emergency facilities available for the proposed annexation and zoning requests. However, they will have to go through any stormwater review along with EPD, like the state would get involved in regards to the state waters. Army Corps of Engineer also gets involved because these waters cross multiple sites. There are just some other things I haven't mentioned quite yet before. No natural gas services available in the area. Gas services could be run down to the development at the expense of the developer. And as mentioned before, this falls under Newton County Water and Sewer Authority service area. And the applicant has provided a letter from Newton County Water and Sewer Authorities that there is a 24-inch water line in the area located along an easement parallel with the railroad. So there's no sewer lines currently adjacent to the property. They also indicated that confirmation of services was not a commitment of water or sewer capacity, that any large development on these properties would need to utilize a closed loop water cooling system or reuse. So staff recommends approval of the request for special use. We went over that already. With the condition that primary access onto the property to include construction access must be along Highway 11, and all other access points shall be for emergency uses only. Planning Commission recommended approval with the following conditions. The primary access onto the property to include construction access must be along Highway 11, and all other access points shall be for emergency use only, and construction must begin within 12 months from the date of the approval. The applicant had some responses to those conditions. They were fine with the first condition. They would ask that we would replace the proposed condition 2 with similar language to what we talked about in the rezone. If a land disturbance permit is not filed with the city within 12 months after this zoning decision is final and resolution of any legal challenges, this special use permit will expire and a new application approval will be required to use the property for a data center. Any questions for me on this one?
Thank you, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll call on the applicant, please.
Good evening, Julie Sellers here on behalf of the applicant. As Ashley mentioned, the Planning Commission approved all of these requests, and the condition that was related to the special use permit, the wording of it, I think we're fine with the intent. The intent was let's move along or start from scratch. But the wording of it was just the construction must begin within 12 months. If something happens and this, if the council approves this, and if there is any kind of legal challenge, and then also just the time it takes for the engineers to finalize the plans, our request is to substitute that to say that we would be required to submit that land disturbance permit within that 12-month period. With the special use permit, I think the terminology would be that the use permit would just simply expire if that doesn't happen, and someone could come back but would have to go through the same process to seek approval. So that's the change that we would propose for the 2 conditions on the special use permit, and happy to answer any questions that you may have for us. Again, we do really believe that there are a lot of benefits to the city and to the residents with the additional investment that would come from the data center use, as well as the lack of impact on roads, schools, and all of that. So we ask for your support and approval.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will open the public hearing. Open the floor for anyone wishing to speak in favor. No one signed up for that. Floor is open for anyone that wishes to speak in favor. Seeing none, I'll open the floor for anyone wishing to speak against. And we do have 3 people that signed up for that, but I think Wendell Pitts, are you still here? Okay. I think all 3 of these people have gone. Anyone wishing to speak against?
Allison West is still there.
Oh, is she? Allison, you want to get up here and say it officially?
Do I just say I oppose?
That's
it. Yeah.
That's
All right.
good enough.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else wishing to speak against? All right. The applicant, do you have anything else to add?
No, sir. Again, we are happy to answer questions. Just, would ask for the approval of all of the applications with the conditions that, I'm going to call it the clean version, that really, I think, allows for the specificity for this development. Again, having the city control the growth in close proximity to its residents, I think, is a significant benefit to the city and the residents, rather than leaving the property in the county up for the county's decision. So we appreciate your time and consideration, and certainly the engagement that we've had throughout the process.
Okay, thank you. With that, I will close the public hearing. I'm going to ask the council to vote on this. First thing is consideration of annexation 2025006.
I make a motion to approve the annexation of the tax parcels listed.
Okay, a motion from Nathan.
Second.
Motion from Nathan and a second from Tyson. Any further discussion?
So looking at discussion, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So looking at the map, we're annexing on the other side of the railroad track.
Yep.
Where the small portion is already in the city limits.
And
There's two portions already in the city
just a
limits.
small portion that's on the other side, but they're not gonna develop it.
I'm saying both of those, they're already in the city limits.
There's a portion. So, hold on, I'm trying to get back there. So
Those
you can,
triangles.
it's really obvious when you bring in the future land use map right there. So that green triangle basically is in the city limits already.
Okay, so there was two reds over here, that triangle, and then that other little spot is not in the city limits.
Yeah.
Correct, not currently.
So we went around those houses.
But that's a peninsula, it's
just
not
where
an
city
island.
limits Used to go when they didn't annex the rest of their property in, when Miss Vineyard come in. It used to be the city used to have like a V right there, and then the circle.
Okay.
And when Miss Vineyard annexed her property in, part of that property was still left in Newton County.
I just said we went around those houses.
Some of those are part of the same parcel that's on the other side of the railroad, so.
Correct, the parcel goes across the railroad.
Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with one in opposition. All right, next we have the consideration of the future land use map, 005.
Make a motion to adopt the recommendation of planning commission.
Okay. Motion from Steve, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Teresa. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
What I wanted it in the city.
All right, so we have a tie vote. A vote with Steve and Tracy. All right, next up, consideration of a rezone 015.
And I can go over the conditions again if I need to. I know it's been a minute. Planning Commission, these are their recommended conditions, that number one, that it get approved with number one, Strouds Creek Road access shall be for emergency use only and constructed to the standards outlined in the city's UDC. Again, with the updated site plan, that condition is kind of a moot point. Number two, construction and primary access shall be from Highway 11 only. Number three, Wildwood Drive, once relocated, shall be brought up to the minimum standards for a local road as outlined by the UDC. Number four, there should be a minimum 500-foot natural vegetative buffer extending from along the old Strouds Creek Road property lines to the railroad. Number five, closed loop cooling systems shall be used and evaporation cooling methods are prohibited. Number six, maximum of 35 parking spaces per building. Number seven, no building or structure shall be placed between the power/transmission line and Old Strouds Creek Road. And number eight, no building or structure shall be located between Highway 11 and the railroad. And then you guys have the proposed conditions by the applicant for the rezone.
So basically, the conditions that they've done, all they done is swap and put some setbacks at greater than what we had anyway. Double and triple, or double.
Correct, and to be fair, the applicant's proposed conditions, when it comes to the setbacks, do make it easier for future staff to regulate that as well. It makes it a little more clear and concise.
Same thing on the applicant's recommendations for the reversionary clauses. They are superior. It's really a waiver of constitutional, gets the applicant to go along, and that language is better.
And that is not in the planning commission's recommendation, so they added that into that to their conditions. The main thing is that they did delete number five, the closed loop cooling system. And just to point out again, in previous cases, we did have the condition that hybrid cooling systems shall be permitted so as to allow for both open and closed loop cooling systems. That's what we've done in previous cases. And then the number six was revised to a ratio instead of a set number of spaces per building. But again, difference of 80 or less than 80 parking spaces. And a couple weeks ago, we did add the conditions of the one-story buildings, the sound dampeners, and the any wells affected by, and earlier tonight, we did add some of those conditions as well. So if you want to remain consistent, you can add those too.
So we had the conditions, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Real quick, would the conditions go with this action, or would it go with the next action?
So that's completely up to you guys.
Or I guess
It runs with the land, so, even if the special use permit expired, these conditions would still apply to the rezone. If for whatever reason the city decided to keep it light industrial and just let the special use permit expire, so if another data center wanted to come through. So it's really kind of dealer's choice, but I mean, I don't see any harm with keeping it with the rezone versus the special use. And any change in conditions would have to come back before council too, just to remind y'all of that as well.
Tyson, your motion still stands?
You didn't make a motion, did you?
I thought you did.
Make a motion.
It was motion to, and then
Yeah, I
we
was just
got
looking
into
at
more
the
discussion.
I'll make a motion to take the applicant's conditions and add the ones that we put on that other night, the ones about the noise dampeners, the no hidden cost for utilities, to cost effective fee in any way, and any wells in the area that it affects, it'll be at the developer's expense to replace. That's in the story. Huh? That's in the story. And all the buildings be single story.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Steve and a second from Tyson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Teresa? Okay. Once again, we have a tie. I'll vote with Stephen Teresa. All right, next up, we have consideration of special use.
We've got one more action. Oh yeah, sorry.
Is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
We're all tired.
Special use 009.
And just a reminder on those conditions, staff recommended primary access only to be on Highway 11. Everything else would be emergency use only. And Planning Commission recommended the same thing, along with the construction must begin within 12 months from the date of approval. And then you guys have the applicant's proposed conditions, which again, they were fine with condition number 1. And then the second condition just changed that language and made it a little bit better for the applicant, but still pretty strict in terms of expiration on a project like this.
I'll make the same motion with the same stipulations as the previous.
You want exact same conditions?
So it goes with the special use and the retail.
I just want to clarify, okay.
Okay, have a motion from Steve.
Second.
All right, got a motion from Steve and a second from Tyson. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, once again, that's a tie. I'll vote with the ayes. We have another public hearing. Do we want to go ahead and do that?
We need to take a quick break.
Okay. All right. We're going to pause for 5 minutes. Thank you
I'd
for being
rather
here
have it here.
tonight. Yes, sir.
We control it, go here.
See you maybe next week or so.
Here you go, Susan. Thank you.
Good to see
I know your number if I need it. What did he say? It was the first one ever introduced himself? Is that what he said?
Yeah. Is that supper, Nathan?
Wait before you can. Maybe maybe do that later.
More of an appetizer. Now this is dinner, I guess. Yeah.
David will have moved on by the time you get home.
Oh, yeah.
Cold, I got arthritis in my knees, and this ain't helping.
I've got.
Let's start bringing the heat
I was
pad.
sick 2 weeks ago. Now I got this like persisting cough, and so they're putting me on like steroid and antibiotic and stuff. I started today, and so they've also put me on this cough syrup to help me sleep. So I'll probably knock out pretty hard after this.
Yeah, take long.
Sir.
Come on, Steve.
Hit the matic. Call him and tell him that.
Say what now? It's like six, this guy brought like 6 people. Was it Graham? Roundabout.
Steve ain't gonna pay no attention to that.
All right, Steve. We gotta go. About to get a heat pad in here. I need some stuff together.
You and me both. I miss Dancing with the Stars.
Well, I got a bad knee, so the colder it gets,
Talk to your constituents tomorrow.
the more I feel like it's sticking.
It's Prince night. There's 2 dances each.
Now Eric gone.
He never went. Steve said he had to take a break, and he got stuck up there talking, he ain't even been at the party yet. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. What's next?
Just a text amendment.
Text amendment to change the community meeting.
To, yeah. I say, go.
No, I'm gonna wait on Steve. Oh, is there?
Yeah, he's the restaurant.
I think there's a wait.
Oh, yeah, that one light is
Yeah,
not working. He said he said it must be the sensor, cause the lights, yeah, it's just not popping on.
Oh, yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in there and that.
I sort of take my phone every time.
All right, Ashley, go ahead.
Just couldn't get away.
So, we had been discussing amending requirements for community meetings and mailed notices. So based off of race and zoning applications that have required, community meetings, we've seen an uptick in number of people only doing virtual meetings. Right now, the UDC doesn't explicitly state which one you have to do, whether virtual or in person. So due to the potential impact of the approval of certain zoning requests, staff believes that a requirement should be made that community meetings must be held in person and the option of virtual attendance only be offered as additional means for those that cannot attend the meeting in person. Also, the UDC states that mail notices are only required to be sent to property owners within the city limits. So we don't have to mail outside the city limits to any adjacent property owners that might be in the county. With the potential impact that the approval of certain zoning applications could have on surrounding properties, staff believes that all mail notices should be sent to all adjacent properties, both inside and outside the incorporated city limits. Staff recommends amending this section of the UDC to include the requirement that community meetings be held in person, along with the requirement that mailed notices must be sent to all property owners, both inside and outside the city limits whose property boundaries lie adjacent to the boundaries of the subject property by the most direct distance. Planning Commission recommended approval of the same with the change that both a virtual option and an in-person option be offered for community meetings. So while they don't necessarily have to be held at the same time, both options should be available for the people that can't make it in person.
Okay. Any questions? All right, with that, I'll open the public hearing. Open floor for anyone wishing to speak in favor. Yeah, go ahead, Steve. All right, anyone wishing to speak against? I think we had one person to sign for that, but he's already gone. So.
Yeah, I will say he did talk to me when he was signing the sheet. He said he's against a virtual option totally. That was his comment to me outside when he was signing the sheet.
Okay.
You might want to name his name for the record since you had his comment.
Is Wendell Pitts.
Wendell Pitts, who
Okay.
lives at 577 Wildwood Drive, Social Circle. All right, close the public hearing, and now we will take council action on this one.
I make a motion to approve the planning and zoning's recommendation of having a community meeting and virtual meeting.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion from Nathan and a second from Steve. Any further discussion?
Just wanna make sure we're saying that, so the applicant has to be here for
In person.
for in-person, and then they have the option to do a second one.
No, they have to do both.
So with this
They can
motion,
virtualize the one that they're here.
Yeah.
so with this motion, they can have, they would have to have a in-person and a virtual meeting. For sake of convenience, if I was an applicant, I would do them both at the same time and virtualize the in-person meeting. But if we want to get more specific, we can require at the same time, or we can say at your leisure,
I'm
you
just
have to
making
do
sure.
both.
We're making sure that the applicant comes here and do a
Yes,
meeting here.
we are.
Yes, does a meeting
that has to
here,
happen.
yeah.
Make sure
Yeah.
they got skin in the game and not somewhere else having meetings.
That's my intent.
I just want that, I just wanna make sure they got skin in the game,
Yeah.
they come in here.
It does that, and it also makes sure that,
People working or,
well, it's not just that, but also the letters, previously we were only sending people
Mhm.
letters who were in the city limits, Cannon Drive because they didn't get notified. This fixes that, and, you know, with all property owners, whether in the city or not.
All right. We're good, David. Okay.
Do we vote?
Not yet.
Okay. Do we have a second? You seconded, right?
Yes, Steve.
Okay.
We're just ready for the vote.
All right. So, further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Ashley, you're done.
Should have tied up on that, made that.
Thank you for that. All right, that brings us to Mr. Taylor, consent agenda.
So we have 5 items on the consent agenda this evening. We have the approval of the minutes of the mayor and council regular meeting from October 21st. We have the minutes of the mayor and council call meeting that was held on November 6th. We also have the minutes of the mayor and council work session that was also held on November the 6th. We have approval of resolution for to recertify the city as a GMA certified city of ethics. And we have a modification of an action taken on January 22nd, 2025 to transfer 4.6 acres of land to Social Circle Board of Education. To be clear on what this is that we all agreed to, you know, exchange 4.6 acres in exchange for a sewer easement across the elementary school property. At the time, we thought it was going to be about 4.6 acres. We have since finalized all of the surveying and everything, and this is just for correcting the paperwork, having on record that it is now 3.7 acres.
So it's 3.7, not 4.6.
Correct.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion from Steve and a second from Tyson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion passes. Unfinished business, I'm not aware of any. New business, bid award.
Yes, we have a bid award to Mid-South Builders in the amount of $425,000 for the Cannon Drive water main replacement project, project number WD 26-001, and authorize the city manager to execute any related documents. I believe we had about, I think, 15 bidders, I believe it was. 17 bidders for this.
So we should have got a good price.
Yes, $425,000, which is actually about $300,000 over what we budgeted for this as part of our water bond. Recommend approval.
So
And I'll also say that this is our first payment, our first bid award on our water bond projects as well.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion from Tyson, a second from Steve. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 2.
Item number 2 is consideration of a change order with RDJE for $49,876.12 to pave Adams Street and to finish paving Sycamore Street as part of the Alleyway Gravity Sewer Line Chifa project, and authorize the city manager to execute any related documents. When Turnip Seed drew up the project plans for that, they did not include paving for Adams Street, which was partially torn up for the alley project. And they also did not measure Sycamore Street correctly. They thought that the area along JK was their right-of-way, and it is not. That is 0 lot lines there, so it's city property all the way up to their walls. And so GFA has agreed to include that as part of the project for an additional $49,000, and so we can get those paved. Recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Steve, second from Tyson. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We need an executive session. Oh,
Second.
All right, we've got a motion from Nathan and a second from Tyson to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, I need some signatures on this evidence ordinance, please.
On the